It's showtime.
Na 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 na. Hey, gotta love that podcast show. Na 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 na. Hey, yeah, I love that podcast show. Oh, BS and beer is the place to go to get all the Saints news. Hell yeah, podcast show. Na 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 na. Hey, gotta love that podcast show. Na 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 na. Hey, yeah.
Now, recording live, it's the BS and Beer Podcast crew with your host, David Romero.
What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Dale, and today we got a special edition. That's right, you heard the intro. BS and Beer Podcast is going on, and yes, we found him. We found him. Everybody's been asking, where's Dave? Where's Dave? We found him. There he is. Dave, what's going on, man?
Man, nothing. I'm happy to be back. I can slice off a little time between softball and doing an addition to my house, and just in time to see Craig preparing for Cinco de Mayo in his sombrero.
That's right. That's right.
I am down here in Southern California, which is, close enough. Brought to you by El Padrino Reposado Tequila, having ourselves a little party time. I am celebrating Dave being in the house. Cheers to you, my friend.
That's right.
It looked like such a big can until he brought it to his mouth, and it's just like this little.
Yeah, I have that effect on.
Is that Cam Newton's old sombrero?
If I had Cam Newton's sombrero, it'd be on the wall right now. Come on, that'd be great.
Fair enough.
That's right, man. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Happy NOLA Day 504. I mean, look, it's a great time. I'm telling you. So, yo, man, let's talk about this draft. Let's talk about some Saints news. Let's do this thing BS and Beer style. How about that, man? So lately, man, the Saints have signed O-line veterans Shane Lemieux and left tackle Justin Herron. From what I can see, these guys look like journeyman kind of guys, fifth rounders, something like that. Got some experience starting in the NFL. So, Craig, you're the offensive lineman guru. Tell me about these guys.
Look, all right, you want guys like this on your roster. You need depth, especially going into camp. Neither of these guys should be starting. If they're starting, our season's in trouble. Not because they're bad players, but because we have a plan. We have guys, You got your Trevor Pennings and your Salvador Veres. You signed Oli Udoh. If these two guys end up seeing significant time, it's a bad sign. But you want to have them anyway. It's still good. You're not making a room worse by adding guys to it.
Yep. All right. How do you feel about the line now that we added that rookie right tackle, and now we have these vets in the mix to mix in at left guard and left tackle along with Penning. This should be some competition on his left side of the line.
I think that okay. First of all, I think there's something going on with Pete in the sense that we may have overvalued him, or he's overvaluing himself. And I think that some of the guys, or at least one of them, and I can't remember the guy's name, the swing tackle that they signed, I think that is the replacement for Pete. And that might say
Udoh.
something about Udoh. Is that right?
Yeah,
I think that's the replacement for Pete. And I think the Saints are going in with a plan, and I have all my feelings about Penning. They're going in with a plan that he's the backup plan to if Penning just can't develop the way they expect him to. But the table is set. They want and expect Penning to be able to be a starter. Now, what level of starter? And I know there's a lot of Saints fans, a lot of consternation and hand-wringing. Look, man, you have a guy from a small school. He was never going to start as a rookie. If he did, it would have been an incredible ascension to the NFL. He had an injury after his rookie year. He missed the entire offseason. I see the kind of trajectory that we had with Ruiz. By this year in a good offseason that was healthy and being able to develop, and I think that Penning's going to be able to do it. Now, listen, what level? I'm not trying to say that I think he's going to be an all-pro left tackle, but I think he'll be a serviceable left tackle, and I think that's the Saints' plan. Well, and I'll throw in too, I think they went into this. People love to, and I'm kind of getting on the fans right now, because if you draft a guy, if he's not in the first or second round, the anticipation is he's going to start as a rookie. If he's not, we'll draft another guy to replace that guy. So Saldiveri is going to be your starting left guard, and I think he's a great athlete. I think that he's going to have every opportunity, and I think that's going to be the left side of the offensive line, and we're going to sink or swim with that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely, and the plan is definitely to roll with the young guys and let them grow into this system. The system coming in should be tailored to these more athletic linemen, and both of those guys are excellent athletes. So, yeah, I mean, everything's in front of them. They're supposed to be the starters. They should be the starters. And, if it works, great. And if it doesn't work, then we're where we were anyway.
Okay. How confident do you feel in it?
Who you
Coin
going
flip?
with? Oh, go ahead. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing. I'm not trying to blow smoke. Like there's a lot of ifs going into the season. I think that we found us a very good right tackle, be a right tackle that's going to be a starter for us for a long time. But okay, if we're being honest, I'm saying that I see the opportunity for development in Penning. Saldiveri didn't play last year. There's no reason to think why he couldn't develop. I mean, the guy's a talented guy. He's big. He's athletic. He's everything you're looking for. But we are saying, hey, not only do we expect two guys to develop, we're also expecting them both to be starters, both from small schools, and you're depending on your entire left side of your offensive line on these two guys. So, you know what? Listen, I'm being optimistic. I can see both of them turn into talented players, but there's a part of me that says, listen, man, that's a lot of ifs right there that you're contending with.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to know by the time training camp's over. If they get out there with just the first couple days in training camp and suddenly you see a couple guys get signed off the street, we're going to know that the coaching staff sees something that we don't. We're going to know soon.
Is that right? Because I don't remember last training camp feeling like offensive line was trash.
Well,
and after the first game, I felt that way.
I mean, our offensive system was dog shit last year.
Yeah.
And injuries snowballed. A lot of the depth that we were counting on, Saldiveri couldn't get on the field because he was hurt. We had, Pete had to start one way and then move to somewhere else, and we had to play Hurst to, congrats on your retirement. But I didn't want him playing for the Saints anymore. So, I mean, you were kind of behind the eight ball anyway. There's at least a potential for growth here with the new system and everything like that. You're not staring at a worst case scenario. You're hoping for a best case scenario.
Yep. All right. Let's talk Saints draft, because listen, I had strong feelings about the draft, but I guess that's not shocking, because I always have strong feelings about the draft. It just didn't look the way that my mock drafts did, or just most of the mock drafts we've seen. So, Craig, what did you think about the picks overall from the Saints?
Okay, so right tackle, first round, obvious. I love the pick. He's great. He does exactly what we want a guy to do. He's a mauler in the run game. He gets into space. The whole offensive system is made for a guy like that, and I love it. It's a perfect pick. I don't care that he was the fourth tackle picked. If you care more about the best running back on the board than the fourth best tackle, then I don't know what to tell you. All right, it was a perfect need. It was value. It was perfect. Chef's kiss. Fantastic. From there, it was best player available. It seemed like, Kool-Aid is an awesome pick. He's got an awesome name. I get to say Kool-Aid, and I'm talking about a person. But that's very much it was the best player available thing. He didn't fill a need. He was just, this guy's going to kick ass, and we're going to put him on the team. And that's awesome. And then nobody panicked. Nobody traded up. No one traded next year's second to get into the third. Nothing. They sat. They were calm. They were responsible with their draft picks, and they got a projected 3rd round pick in the 5th at quarterback. I mean, I'm incredibly happy with this draft. The only way I would have been happier with it is if we just had more picks, and we didn't.
Dave, thoughts?
Well, okay. So when you look at the big picture and the big plan, I mean, there are no more valuable players in today's NFL than cornerbacks and cover guys. But I will say that it's getting a little disheartening to me. And again, I understand the plan, but it's almost like drafting offensive linemen in the 1st round. After a while, you're just like, why do you keep doing that? But we did it with Taylor. Now we do it with Kool-Aid. And it's, there's other holes on the team. But if you really stop and look at it, and the Taylor, some wise man sent a screenshot of Alontae Taylor in the slot, and it was awful. And I think that the Saints realize that if we are going to improve the defense, you have to improve that 3rd corner. Now, I'm not giving up on Alontae by any stretch, so that's not my point. He is obviously a boundary corner. He's long, he's fast. I think he has the skill set to be a boundary corner, but he does not have the skill set. And it might also be he doesn't necessarily have the desire to be an inside corner. And from all accounts, even though he had less than 20 snaps in the slot in college. And I'm avoid saying his last name because I keep pronouncing it wrong because it's not McKinnis or what it's help me out.
McKinstry?
McKinstry. Yeah, that sounds like me trying to pronounce somebody's name and I got it wrong. But Kool-Aid looks to have the skill set that you would look for in an inside or slot corner. So if you improve that, then you're good, and then you still have the door open on whether or not we're going to be trading Marshawn. So like you have to believe that some of these things were done with that in mind. So I'm telling you, out of one side of my mouth, when they picked another corner, I kind of was a little God, why they do that? And then when you stop and think about it, you realize there was a plan there, and I think that it's a smart plan because in the modern day football, I get it. You need a pass rush. You need defensive backs. And if the Saints have a hole at slot and it's poorly, Craig, tell us what those stats were. It's like last and
it was
the
bad.
Most targets and the most completions
so
against.
Despite him not playing as many pass coverage snaps as the starting outside guys, he gave up more yards, more catches, and a higher completion percentage than any other corner on the Saints, and led all of the NFL in targets against and yards allowed.
Yeah, so right off the bat, if you improve that, then you improve the defense. And 2, listen, I don't want to. Marshawn is a game-changing cornerback. He's a game-changing player. But if he wants to move on, I do think we have a viable plan. I literally have more confidence in Taylor as an outside guy than I do as an inside guy. So while I'm saying, hey, we need to move him on, when he plays the outside, I think he plays better. And so not that I'm at all trying to suggest that he is on the level of Marshawn, but what I'm saying is I don't think it would – I think we'd be solid there, assuming we have a Debo. Now, that's another thing, too, is do we re-sign a Debo? Maybe the plan isn't to replace Marshawn. Maybe Marshawn's gotten over whatever it is he's upset about. And the Saints are like – because now I'm going to ask you guys' opinion on this, but to me, I thought a Debo's good. I thought he played well. I mean, pretty much the entirety of his career, but I don't see a great cornerback. I don't see a shutdown corner, and he's going to be looking for that kind of money. So maybe they're like, hey, we're not going to be paying you, and there's Taylor's spot.
He was the best corner last year, though.
Yeah, he was excellent. But then here's the thing about the whole situation with both of our guys. There's a path, and there's a pretty clear picture that could emerge where we don't keep either of them. Where Marshawn wants out, we get a draft pick, and we don't want to sign the big check for a Debo, and then boom, we've got 2 starting outside corners on rookie contracts. If you're trying to rebuild and fix your cap and build from the ground up, that's a good way to do it.
I didn't consider that one. I mean, I'd find that hard to believe, but at the same time, again, I guess what I was saying about a Debo is that not that he's not a very good cornerback, but I think, like if you had a list of very good quarterbacks, like the top guys, I think he'd be at the bottom of the top. And
well, his stats were inflated by having Marshawn opposite him. If avoiding Lattimore like the plague, he's going to get more passes thrown at him. He's going to have more tackles, breakups, interceptions than he would normally if he wasn't getting picked on.
Well, and if you
Still
take
played
into
well.
consideration, and I get that, and you're right, but you also take into consideration Marshawn's locking up their number one guy. So Debo's not spending a lot of time on number one. So now all of a sudden his coverage looks better when he's dealing with number twos.
Okay. So that's a good point there about Debo. We will see if the Saints end up extending him or not. Talk to me about Jalen Ford, the linebacker from Texas, also a 5th round pick, because I this was one of my favorite picks in the 5th round. I was not a big fan of the Spencer Rattler pick. I get it. He's got potential, all that kind of stuff, but Jalen Ford is somebody who I think can actually contribute and be the next middle linebacker for the Saints. Now, I know he doesn't have the great range, side to side, sideline to sideline kind of speed, but he was the leader of Texas's defense, and that means a lot. What do you think about that, Craig?
Yeah, 10 years ago, that guy's a 1st round pick, right? I mean, you talk about a big, strong inside linebacker from Texas. Like that used to be a big deal. And the NFL has just evolved away from that so hard that now you have linebackers that look like safeties, So you got a big guy like this who's, like captain of the defense, guy calling the plays out, middle of the field, the Demario Davis role, and he's in the 5th round. So I love the guy, but I don't think you find room on them for the roster. I mean, you only have one Mike. It's going to be Demario Davis. You're not supplanting him in the immediate future. You can plan to replace him, but until then, you're going to carry a guy on the roster that you can't play. So I love the guy and I love the pick, but I don't know how he's going to make this roster right now. I don't know. I don't see.
I'm assuming he's going to play special teams as well.
But I mean, you got a bunch of safeties that can play special teams and also play in the secondary. So if you carry him, he's just playing special teams or hoping that somebody doesn't get hurt.
Okay. Now there's this other pick here I want to talk about from Eastern Kentucky. We know somebody that's right there in Eastern Kentucky, and I know they watch every single game from this player. Dave, tell us about Josiah Ezrim.
Yeah, you kidding me? I want to talk about Ford, probably my least favorite of the Saints picks. I mean, I get that probably old school, but I mean, I just don't know how effective he's going to be in the modern day NFL, because if you and I'm not pretending to be an expert on this guy, but just doing a little research, he's not the most athletic. He's not extremely quick, or just coverage wise, he's not your guy. It's going to be hard to imagine him stepping in as anything other than a special teamer. So be interesting to see. Sometimes those guys, especially linebackers, they can come in and intangibles can change everything. And he did demonstrate that, in college, that he was a guy that wasn't highly recruited either, and ended up coming in. They say he's the face of the change of their defense. So that's a lot of glad handing and back patting. So maybe there's something to it, but I don't know, man. I'm looking at them RAS scores, man. That's what I want to see in my later picks, so that you say, well, he was underdeveloped, but when he came out, he had the speed and agility and strength and everything that you're looking for. So he's a player, and this guy's one of those guys that's productive but doesn't have the measurables. So now, as far as the other guy you're talking about, yeah, man, you want to get Craig's opinion on that one.
He didn't allow a sack all of this last season. Didn't allow anything. He was awesome at a tiny school. He's what do they call him? The draft review of him was draft and stash. Like, hide him on the practice squad, let him develop, because immense potential. He's huge. He's strong. He's gonna have to. You talk about Trevor Penning being a project. This dude's a project,
Right.
But yeah, I mean, for the kind of value you're talking about, 5th round guys. If you're expecting anything from a 5th round guy, then you're off base anyway. These are all just darts at a board.
He was a 7th rounder though, right?
7th. Oh, in that case,
yeah. I mean, I didn't even. I was packing up my clothes and putting my snacks away and stuff, and then I saw that come across the board.
Video of when he got drafted. Y'all see that one where he's on the phone and then just let's go, and the whole place blows up. That was the most fun draft reaction. Not like Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid looked like he was crying because we picked him. He was not happy about it. Y'all see that video? There's a video.
No, I heard about it though, but
He just-
everybody's gonna have their spin on it. Everybody's gonna have their
No.
spin on it. It was more of, I heard it, the intensity, and he's just one of those guys that takes it personally, because he was supposed to be, the consensus on him was somewhere in the late first round. So I think there's a little bit of disappointment there that he lasted till the second. And I mean, I don't know if pedigree is the right way to put it, but he's one of those guys that, I mean, he's a leader. And here I go again, going back to somebody we already talked about, but he has all the intangibles and the talent that I think that even slipping later in the first felt like, oh, this isn't right. And so I think he's disappointed more than upset about being drafted by the Saints.
Well, having to have foot surgery probably didn't help his draft stock either.
Yeah, that's right. What is it, toe?
So,
I think
toes
it
can
was some minor toe surgery. He ran a 4.7. I'm thinking, maybe the toe, he's, more, no, he didn't run a 4.7. Sorry. 4.47. And so, for a corner, maybe a little bit slower than you like. But he's a bigger corner. He's pushing 200 pounds. So
people imagine running 4.5 with a busted toe. Jeez, dear Christ, these guys are fast.
Yeah.
NFL is so fast right now. It's insane. I remember being a kid like, oh, that receiver runs a 4.5. Heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to repeat that just for all the people who started yelling at the whatever device they're listening to us on. 4.47, not 4.7. I'm 4.7. I just ended my life right
No,
there.
Dale runs a 4.7.
You're right.
I wish.
I know.
The
Right?
last time I ran
Yeah,
a
we talk about
440 was a
NFL, but
5 flat.
Yeah, if we run in 4.7s, I'm impressed.
Yeah, I really wish I was that fast.
I think that's the tequila talking as Craig lifts up his big old bowl of margarita there.
Hey, I am, if nothing, if not festive. All right.
I agree.
Yep. You get no argument here, sir. So all right, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back. We're gonna be talking about some undrafted free agents when we come back.
This is Sheriff Cooter Wilmot of the Boudreaux Parish Sheriff Gas Station Beer, Bait, Barbecue, Barbershop, Laundromat Department. Remember our motto in Boudreaux Parish: we will find you and we will tase you.
This is an emergency message. Stop what you're doing and hit the like button. Also comment and subscribe. Thank you. We now return you to your program.
We are back. BS and Beer podcast. Got Craig and we got Dave in the house. We're talking undrafted rookie free agents. So, Craig, talk to me about the undrafted rookie free agent you're the most excited about.
Okay, so there's a couple ways to answer this. There's who am I rooting for the most? Who am I think is going to make the team best? And I think the easy answer is the most likely to make the team is that tight end. We've all seen the highlight reels, the one-handed catches. That catch, he goes behind him in the snow, just ridiculous stuff. But it was small school, the position group's
Holker,
not
right?
sure. Yeah, let's go with that. Dallin, whatever.
Yeah, Dallin Holker. That's his name.
You make the team, I'll learn your name. So he's got the highlight reel. It's a weak position group he's in, so it's probably the most likely. There's a guard from Boston College that has a path to make the team. I want the running back from Lafayette, from Louisiana, because he's from Louisiana. That's what we do on this show, right? We pump up guys from Tulane and LSU and UL, and that's what we do because we don't watch film or talk about good players. We talk about where they're from.
Oh my God, this guy.
I see you take your shots. That's fine. That's all right. Dave, what you think? Undrafted rookie free agents.
You know what? Okay, so Holker's one that I think everybody's hyped about, and I do this little thing. I go through this little dance routine every year, and I listen, I read, and I get hyped up, and then I stop and say, okay, wait a minute. If he's that good, why was he drafted so late, or why was he a free agent? So then I start looking for the reasons, and today I came across some information, and I shared with you guys. So he spent 3 years at BYU, and he's basically invisible. Then he goes down in competition, and he explodes. Now, my only point about that is that he obviously has the talent. He obviously has a good skill set, and Craig nailed everything else. I mean, there's a path for him. We don't have a strong tight end room, so there's a path for him. But now I see the reason why someone would say, am I going to really draft this guy in the 6th round? He did nothing when he was in a larger school, went to a smaller school, then all of a sudden. So what's going to make us believe that he is going to, all of a sudden start playing when he goes to even higher level competition? But those are guys you still have to take a gamble on, because he has all the skills and he could be a steal because, I don't know why. And I mean, Craig joked that, he was misused or he wasn't in the right system or whatever the case may be, but the guy obviously has talent. So it's up to the Saints and the Saints offensive system to try to find a way to squeeze out, do what he does best and get the most out of the guy. But he definitely has the talent. And I think Craig said it best. I don't spend a lot of time getting excited about anybody who predicts that an undrafted guy makes the team. You're just getting lucky. I mean, you have no idea. But this guy, the reason is not necessarily because of his talent, but because there's a path. They're either, again, Craig mentions training camp comes and they start signing a guy off the street that's, played tight end for 2 or 3 teams and been in the league for 4 or 5 years. You're going to say, well, they didn't see what they wanted to see, so they got somebody else. Matter of fact, I expect that to happen anyway. I really doubt that they're going to go in with him being the front runner for the 3rd spot at tight end.
Okay.
So I have some inside information on the misuse at BYU. Apparently, he just really needs some caffeine. He needs a soda before game day.
Yeah,
and they're not going to have that.
That's a good point.
That structure, gets a Mountain Dew before he plays. Do the do, baby.
Well, I'm trying to think of a joke that I could use for having multiple wives. Would also be a detriment for him. Maybe there's too many females cheering for him at the same time. He's better if he's focused on one at a time.
Trying to keep 5 wives happy. There's no way you're playing football the next day.
Right. I mean, yeah, that could. You see, you're on to something. He could have been like his legs are tired. Like the old boxer.
Women weak in legs.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you right now, he can keep 5 wives happy because he got a $235,000 guarantee.
Bro, hey, let me tell you, 5 women, that's about 6 months, man. You back on the streets looking for it.
My wife's happy until Tuesday at that much money. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's good to be single, I'm telling you. So let's talk about some of these other guys that they got. What are other players that got the big bonus, $160,000 guaranteed? Jermaine Jackson, a wide receiver from Idaho. He 49 catches, 1 touchdown, 593 yards. He can also return. And with the new return rules in the NFL, I can see a guy like this making a team here, Dave. What do you think? Jermaine Jackson.
Yeah. Now, okay, first of all, that might have been the wrong sound effect, but I think you got the point. Look, I saw a couple of things on Facebook or YouTube or whatever about this new rule, kickoff return rule. So there's going to be a lot of new stuff going on. And so I'm not exactly sure, but everything I've heard is it's going to be different and a different, you're going to need different personnel to play on those particular special teams. And there's a new emphasis on it. And if there's one thing the Saints seem to find, man, it's people who can return. So, it seems like we can name off 2 or 3 guys that not only made the team as a returner, but excelled at it. So, yeah, anytime the Saints bring in a guy and he's a special teams guy that can return, keep a close eye on him because he has a shot. It's yet to be seen, but he has all the athletic ability, the quickness. A lot of times, though, man, these super quick, fast guys from these small schools, they're small. And durability is a question. Every time they get them in, they can do all this stuff until they take that first NFL hit or 2. And then they're starting to wonder if they made the right career choice.
See, we just have a rotating door of these guys. And, any day now, Rashid Shaheed's going to end up in Buffalo. Just
right. Yeah.
We'll draft the next one or a UDFA the next guy in 5 years, whatever.
But they're definitely not paying those guys.
Yep,
they're not paying them. Now, Shaheed, in my opinion, though, a little bit different because I feel like he has the wide receiver skill set that the other ones really didn't. They were more gadgety. he seems like a legit receiver.
It
You know,
almost
if
upgrade from Deontay Hardy. I don't know. I feel like there was some pushback when I suggested that was an upgrade.
okay,
Hmm.
well, another show, another time. We
Hmm.
can argue about that in the chat because there's more to it than just that.
Don't live in the past.
Yeah, don't live in the past, Craig. Come on,
That's right. Dave does not live in the past.
especially when I'm wrong. So
Also, hey, look, we saw the Saints get Tulane Sincere Haynesworth, so I'm hoping to see good things from him. Again, shout out Louisiana player. I love those guys. But the Saints did bring in an Aussie style punter. Now, I know, Craig, that you talked about this Aussie style punting being effective for the Saints stat wise, but I am just not a fan of the way it looks.
I mean, I don't care what you're a fan of the aesthetics of it. You know, look, like you can kick it in the air 60 yards and he returns it 20 yards, or you can kick it in the air 30 yards and he doesn't return it at all. I mean, you're talking about the whole idea of this is you're not worried about having to actually pay guys to just be gunners because you're not getting return yards. So you're actually taking away part of the roster that you would have to pay money on otherwise. You can agree with it. You can disagree with it. I don't love the style of it. You know, I feel like too much can go wrong. We saw that last year, you know, but it's definitely a strategy. So you can fault the strategy, but I mean, that's what it is. It's designed to eliminate returns and not boom the ball down the field.
I wish we got Punk God. It's another thing. All right, so let's wrap up our discussion here with something from Colin Cowherd. He picked the NFC South, and the order that he picked was Atlanta Falcons, Tampa Bay Bucks, Carolina Panthers, New Orleans Saints. How offended are you by this, Craig, that he has us behind the Panthers?
I try so hard to cut Colin Cowherd a break, you know, like I try to give him a chance about every couple of weeks. And then he says something so incredibly stupid that it hurts me in my soul. And it bothers me. The Panthers were so bad last year that they got the first overall pick and couldn't even use it because it belonged to someone else. That's how bad they were. They were so bad that they had the number 1 overall pick and couldn't even pick with it. That's horrible. We won 9 games last year and we got a new offensive system. There's no reason to, if we regress, it's to 7. So what? They're going to win 7 more games than they did last year. We're going to regress 2 and they'll somehow squeak ahead of us. I'm not even sure the Buccaneers got worse. How did we get to There's no reason the Saints should be the 4th team in this division unless an asteroid comes down and wipes out half of Metairie. It's insane. It is so ignorant. It is another big market person who has the whole NFL on all their TVs and has no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah, so bad that their owner goes in and harasses restaurants for having what was it, let the GM draft in their window. So that's bad. Listen, I am not bullish on the Saints right now. I do think there's a lot of question marks. I think the potential is there that if some of those ifs become positives, the Saints could be a good team. But I don't see a particular regression. Their schedule is not particularly hard.
It's tied with Atlanta for the easiest in football.
Now, one of the things I will say, though, we did have some extra luck this past season with quarterbacks. If you realize when we played those bad teams, we played several teams. I'd have to go back and look at it. But
yeah, we lost them backup quarterbacks, Dave.
Well, we did. That's a good point, too. I guess we lost, like we beat Chicago with the backup quarterback is pretty awful.
We missed Cousins in Minnesota, and then we lost to the backup because the backup could run.
Right. So, but the thing is, I don't see us regressing to the point where we lose more than 7 games. I mean, we're still a solid core team. And the idea of the Panthers, matter of fact, where I say I'm not bullish, I thought Atlanta, now that I look at Atlanta, I'm not thoroughly impressed with Atlanta either. I'm not thoroughly impressed. I think Tampa Bay overachieved. I could see the Saints, they're not going below 3, but I could see the Saints going all the way from, look at me stepping out on a limb. They could be anywhere from 1 to 3, you know what I'm saying? But I kind of see it if I was going to put my money on it, second place. I just don't see Atlanta or Tampa Bay as being some juggernaut, and I think both of them are just as capable of falling on their face. Baker Mayfield, they just paid him a pretty solid contract, and based on one solid year
with a coordinator left already.
Yeah. So if the point is how stupid is it to say that we're going to finish behind Carolina, then that's extremely stupid. Where they finish the rest of that, I think that you have three teams that aren't great, that are all about 500. If they win this or that, they can win 10 games. I don't see any of them right off the bat. I wouldn't say any of them are 10-plus winners, but one of them's going to be a 10-game winner, and it could easily be the Saints.
Yeah.
Vegas has the Saints as 7.5 as the over/under for the total wins.
Match the
Craig,
over.
what you got?
Over
for Craig. Dave?
That over.
I mean, I guess I'm saying over.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, man. It's that left side of the offensive line, and if the Saints can, and I have no reason. Like, here's the thing. I just got finished getting on the fans because I read this stuff, and it just, like, you draft a guy in the second round, Foskey. I mean, he showed potential. I get he was pretty quiet. He was injured quite a bit. But at the end of the day, there's no reason to believe the guy's not going to develop into a solid player in his second year. You picked up Young. I get the surgery thing, but there's no reason to believe he won't be solid. You'll have a better pass rush. You should have better coverage. You'll have a solid defense. The offense should be better. It shouldn't be worse. And again, if you look, matter of fact, just today, as I don't know what's wrong with me, I have a problem, but I got a little bored and I started watching the season finale against Atlanta, and I saw who they had at right tackle, and I didn't even bother. It was nobody. And I'm like, if that guy's starting, there's a definite improvement, and you had Pete on the left side. Pete's not signed by anybody. How much worse can it be? And you still won 7, 8, 9 games. I mean, so the point is that, I don't see a regression. I just don't. It's a solid core team. And I think that it's easily going to be the over on that.
Yeah.
I'm tired of you already. I am so tired of you already.
Who that? Yeah. Drinking the
There we
Kool-Aid.
go.
Well, Dale,
Optimism.
let's hear your side of it, because you tend to not be as optimistic in the chat.
Is optimism galore here. So if I'm gonna have to place a bet, I'll just place a bet on the under. Because I think it's likely we get 7 wins. Because I don't know, I seem to be like the floor or something. I don't know.
So you expect the worst case scenario, because we're not losing. We're not going to win less than 7 unless everybody gets hurt. We're not losing less than 7.
That's what I'm thinking.
Right.
7 is the number. So Vegas is right on it. So
It's going to be 10, and I'm going to be laughing while y'all negative sons of bitches are watching us. So I'm going to go ahead and celebrate early for that playoff berth right here. NFC South champ.
If he didn't weigh 300 plus pounds, I would be concerned about how
46,
much he's drinking. Pushing 350. I'd be concerned about it, but I think he's just fine.
Oh, it's O-line build. Okay, it's very
that's like thimble shots for me and Dale.
Yeah, I'm not competing with that at all. So, all right. Well, let's go wrap up the show this week. We appreciate everybody joining us in the chat and joining us online on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. We appreciate all the support. We will see y'all again when we see you. Who that?
Who that?
Who that?
Remember to follow us on social media at BS and Beer Media. Also, smash the like button on YouTube and share with friends.